Hello, y'all. I'm Dianna Brianne. Hey, Sean, you are the first one in here. First one. Surprise, surprise. How are you doing today, Sean? I wasn't going to come on, and then I said, because I don't think I'm going to be on tonight. I might, but probably not. And then I just got in from my 5 mile run, and I said, you know what? If just in case I don't go on tonight, I think I'll go ahead and go on right now. So I didn't give any notice, but I bet you are out on the road, Sean, right now, driving, right? Well, let's wait and see if anybody comes in here, which I will be surprised if anybody does, but you never ever know. Let me look here over here. Um, you know what, Sean? It's not coming up on my other. There it is. Okay, got it. I'm doing really good. My son's team won the championship in basketball. Yay! That is so cool. I have three young adult kids now. They're in their early 20s, all three. And I can tell you, it just seems like yesterday that they were little. How old is your son, Sean? Is he little or is he older? And I can tell you, my kids were in every kind of sport, every kind of activity. I was always going from one place to the other, to the other, to the other, taking them for sports events or other kinds of events. So you are eastbound in northern Missouri. Wow. You were in Nebraska. Was it Nebraska? Yeah, Nebraska last night. So you're making really, really good time. I love Missouri too. Hey, TV. Welcome, welcome. And welcome, Kwanoipi. Welcome, welcome. I hope you all are doing really, really good. And I will give you TV. Can you type a little bit more in there, like something I'm talking about, so that I can make sure that you're not a bot? Because anytime a channel has any kind of lettering that I don't recognize, I want to make sure. So if you'll type a little bit more in, then I'll give you a blue wrench. Yeah, you know what? That's a wonderful age, Sean. It really is. Hello from Croatia. Okay, just type a little bit more in, like what kind of live stream this is. And I only do that because we have been inundated with bots, everybody's live streams. And so I kind of have to recognize people. Otherwise, I make them type a little bit more in before I give out a blue wrench. But welcome, welcome, welcome. And so, yeah, Sean, you know what? It's such a wonderful, wonderful part of life when your kids are young. Now, my kids are still relatively young, I mean, in their early 20s, but it's very different than when they were little. And I just did a video, I haven't put it up yet, about when you look back on your life. When you look back upon your life and you miss certain time periods. And hey, Edward, welcome, welcome. Thank you for coming. Thank you. And, I miss that time period. I embrace, them being young adults now, but I really, really, oh, okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you. That's good. That's good, TV. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. We just have to be so mindful now. Every live stream is getting these little mechanical bots. And so I'm just very, very mindful anytime. And anytime that someone comes to the live stream. But yeah, I miss that time period so much. And hey, Save Robbie, I was thinking about you today. I don't know what occurred, but I knew you were going to pop on. I just knew it. It was like synchronicity. I just knew you were going to pop on. And Save Robbie is my dear friend. And I hope you're feeling much better, Save Robbie, because I know that you had a pretty rough time there for a little bit with that cold. And, hopefully everybody's going to be better now. everybody's going to stay well and be better, you know. And so that's what's important, is that we stay healthy so that we can enjoy our lives. So I just decided to pop on. I've been on twice a day, every day for about 2 weeks. So tonight I'm likely not going to be on. And I wasn't going to come on today because I was on last night for 2 hours and my voice is getting tired. Um, Robbie, yes, that's one of the big things I heard with it, is that people are really tired after, and it takes a few weeks to kind of regain your momentum and regain your strength. But you're through the rough part. So if all you are is sleepy, then you're good. When you pass 50, your sleeping patterns may change. My sleeping patterns changed a lot after I was 50. And I've talked to other people in my age group that say the same thing, that their sleeping patterns change a lot. Now, Robbie, you're in your 30s, so you're really young, and yet there's a lot of changes that occur after you turn 50. And a lot of times people have to start wearing glasses when they never had to wear glasses before. Hey, Mr. Tranquilla, welcome, welcome. Thank you for coming. Thank you. I wear glasses some of the time for reading. Um, Although my vision check the last time was 2025, which is excellent for someone almost 65 years old. Um, but like with the computers, it depends on what computer I'm at. Like this computer, I can see perfectly fine. If I'm on um, um, the one I use on Grandma's porch, sometimes I have to wear the glasses to be able to read the chat. It just depends upon the lighting and depends upon the font, you know. Um, but yeah. Oh, wow, Robbie. You know what? The 40s were fabulous for me. My 40s were maybe my best years. I was raising small children, but in my 30s, those were wonderful years too. I have to tell you, they're very different. My 40s were very different from my 30s. No, but you know what, Sean? I think I told this story before. I was 12 years old when Woodstock happened, and they came out with the movie Woodstock. And I had this babysitter who had early dementia. So I don't know who was taking care of who, because at that point, I think I was kind of taking care of her. Anyhow, we went to the little town theater and they were playing Woodstock. And you had to be like an adult. It was like rated M. Back then, they had M for mature. They didn't have like all the different G, PG, and all that. So she wore her old grandma shoes. She looked like an old grandma. And that was the only movie playing. And so she bought us tickets. And the lady said, well, do you know that this is kind of like an adult movie? She said, uh-huh. So we went in and watched the movie Woodstock. I was 12 years old. I was 12 years old. I remember that. I was like, oh, I was so stunned. I was so stunned. But Robbie, you are right. You are right. The 40s, my 40s were wonderful, 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 wonderful. I was raising my small children. I was so happy. I was a stay-at-home mom. It was amazing. Okay. I was very happy in my 40s. I think you know yourself in your 40s, unlike you do maybe in your 20s. Your 20s, you're kind of grasping for who you are, your identity. My 30s were great. Oh my gosh. I met my husband in my 30s. Oh my gosh. Before I met him, oh my gosh, I had so many boyfriends. I had a wonderful job. I lived in a wonderful place. I loved my 30s. I mean, my 30s were incredible, and my 40s were even better than my 30s. So my 50s got started off a little rough. I was taking care of my mom, and then she passed. She had Parkinson's and ALS, and my kids were still small, and I was homeschooling. And we moved across country to a town we had never been to before. And so my 50s started off a little rocky. But as I got into my 50s, they were great. They were great. Hey, Jaden, welcome, welcome. So my 50s, after I got into them, they were great. My 60s had a few bumps in the road. I had a couple of bumps in the road last year. When I turned 60, my daughter suddenly got sick, and the doctors couldn't figure out what it was. And I did a whole video on that called portal vein thrombosis. She's fine now, but at the time it was very scary. So my 60s kind of got off to a little rough of a start. But otherwise they were wonderful. They've been wonderful. And, I work out every day. I take care of myself. I do all that. So, taking care of yourself is so important. If you take care of yourself when you're young, you'll look like me when you get old. Did you hear that, Robbie? If you take care of yourself now, you'll look like me when you get old. Yeah. And you know who I saw the other day, and I just love her, is Goldie Hawn. I saw her. I saw her the other day on an interview, and she is, I think, 76. She's in her upper 70s. She looks great. And, we all age. We're not going to look 25 when we're 65. We're not, okay? But you want to look good. You want to be your best, whatever your best means. If you want to be a grandma, be the best grandma you know how to be. If you want to be in a rocking chair, then rock away. Do what makes you happy. Oh, Robbie, you've got snow. I don't want to see snow. We had that ice storm. That ice storm broke my windshield, knocked our power out for 3 days in the house. We had the generator going. Which doesn't, our house is so big, it doesn't completely, heat up every room. So we had to kind of spot heat and spot light and spot use appliances with the generator. But I always loved snow. But after this last episode where my son's car window broke and my front car window broke from the ice, I said that was it. No more for me. No more snow. No more ice. So I know it's beautiful. I know, but just no. But yeah. When you get older, I've been calling this grandma's convoy. You know how grandma likes truckers. Hey, Eric EL3. Hey, my friend. Welcome, welcome. And I don't talk about any kind of political topics or hot topics or what's going on in the news because, well, I want to keep my channel, but you all know what I think. Grandma loves truckers, and she just says, God bless the truckers, God bless them all. Okay, I got to get rid of this. Okay, let me get this out of here. Remove. I'll put in time out. And then I go remove. Okay, let me see. And just put hide user from this channel. Okay. I think I did it right. We have the bots. And you can't get around them. I went on another live stream. I mean, they're everywhere. They're just everywhere. Everywhere. And so you've got to be really, really, really careful. And I had a bunch of them last night. Yeah, Sean. Let me drop it in. Here you go. Let me get that here. Thank you, Mr. Tranquillo. If Mr. Tranquillo, you can keep a close eye on my stream. Normally Arnie or Passion for Artists here and Putt Putt King, and they normally keep it a close eye on it. And so right now I have to keep a close eye on it because it's really been something for everyone's channels, everyone who's doing live streaming. So YouTube is probably going to have to come up with a way to um, a wage. Thank you, Jaden. Thank you. Hey, Sean. Here's Sean, my trucker friend. Hey, Sean.
Hello. Oh shoot, that phone just fell out of the holder. Hang on
That's
one second. Here.
that's okay. Be careful. Just be careful driving. That's the most important thing.
Well, there's hardly anybody out here on this highway. It's US 36 in northern Missouri heading east.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful weather. I mean, you're having really, really beautiful weather today.
Well, it looks like it, but it's only 22 degrees.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Hey, Billy. Well, oh, thank you, Billy. Thank you. It got a little kind of crazy last night, but it was all good. It was all good. Yeah, the beautiful weather though.
Yeah, I'm headed to upstate New York. By this evening, I should be in Ohio, just in time to get my hoodie and my T-shirt from my
To
son's
go for your
championship.
son. Yeah, you're going to go for your son's basketball game.
No, it already happened.
Oh, it
I just
already. Okay.
Yeah, they cut the net, got the trophy. They're celebrating right now at one of the grandmothers. One of the boys on the team's grandmother owns the local pub restaurant there in town called
Oh,
Selecties, and
nice.
they get doing pizza and all that. Me, I just want to get my hoodie and my T-shirt, the championship and everything.
Well, that sounds wonderful, and I'm sure he'll be excited that you're going to be there with him.
Oh yeah, all the boys they like me. A lot of the parents don't understand it. Oh, that's because I spoil the kids. If if you were to able to see my truck, I made it all about the kids' school.
Oh,
It's
that's
got their
cool.
kids logo, some of the kids' names on it. Like the kids in the class of 2020, they were robbed of their rule. So
Yeah.
I put on the side of my truck on both sides.
Hey, John Paul, welcome, welcome. Thank you for coming. So you
I,
put it on the side of your truck.
well, I put a logo there that said TVHS class of 2020 forever rules, and I put the biohazard logo in the center of the zeros, and they loved it. But they were robbed of their rule. I mean, I think back when I graduated, man, I wouldn't have liked that either.
Yes, yes. Welcome, welcome, XXL. Welcome, welcome. Mr. Tranquillo, he's talking about his son's game. His son was in a basketball game, is who he's talking about. Um, yeah. And John says, hi, Sean.
Oh, yeah, they're West Ohio. Um, it looks like I say it's Wacko or something like that. Waco or something like
Waco.
that. WOAC is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
won the championship against Arcanum, and it
Yeah.
was a close game too.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not a real big sports person, but my kids are and my husband is. So, but I'm not. I couldn't tell you one game from the other.
Well, if I had the choice, my son would have been playing ice hockey, but there's not a program nearby. He just plays basketball to keep himself busy between football and baseball because here in a couple weeks, baseball is going to start up. And
Yeah.
I said, that's not really the family sport, but I'll take it.
Right. Right. Well, Mr. Tranquillo says, I am a great basketball fan. I think he means fan. He says fun, but I think he means fan. Yeah, fan. And yeah, yeah. Well, that sounds so cool and so neat. And, being there for your kids when they're growing up and is so important. I'm so glad I was a stay-at-home mom. And it was the best years. Well, they're all been, I consider all years and all seasons the best of your life. And yet those were very special years being a stay-at-home mom, you know.
Yes.
And a lot of dads miss out on that because they don't have that opportunity as much because they're working, they're providing,
Uh-huh. Yeah, see,
but
Diane, that's what I wanted to mention. And I try to tread lightly because it's just the way things were designed, human
yeah,
beings.
yeah,
And a lot of young females will get triggered by that sort of conversation.
yes,
And it's like, look, I'm not trying to make you angry or anything like that. I'm trying to explain to you kids are their important years are having a mother at home being the disciplinarian, taking care of the kids and everything. But when 1980 rolled around, that all changed.
I think 1970, a lot of it changed in 1970s.
Well,
Um,
it really took off in 1980 because in economics, when we do the math of what you make and what you can buy with the money that you make is the same as it was in the average American. We just went with the average income is the same as it was in 1978.
Welcome, Cinnamon Hot, Hot, Hot. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I know. I know everything changed, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. I was a stay-at-home mom. But whether you're a stay-at-home dad, a stay-at-home mom, I know stay-at-home dads, and the mom works. It's just whatever works for that family. But I do think it's important to have, even if it's a grandparent that stays home, there needs to be somebody that holds everybody accountable, and that's
Yes,
always there. My sister was always there at her home. My grandma never left her home. And so we always knew that there was anchors there. And there are people that need to be anchors. So I think so much kids are raising themselves today, and it's
yes,
sad, and they need older people in their lives for guidance. And
uh,
instead, they're turning to the internet, they're turning to social media, they're turning to
yes.
their friends for guidance, and their friends can't give them guidance. They don't have life experience, you
See,
know.
Diane, the TV, the history of television, it shows, you know, the culture's recognizing it, but a lot of people are missing the message. Like
Yeah.
when you were brought up, it was Leave It to Beaver and the
Oh,
Brady
yeah.
Bunch. And then when
Yeah.
the late 80s came around, became The Simpsons, now South Park. You got two parents that can't stand
Terrible.
each other. The kids are mouthing off. The culture recognized it, and it shows on TV.
Cinnamon Hot Hot says definitely the 70s became the latchkey kids. Moms went to work, they income very low. I so agree. I grew up, I'm a child of the 50s and 60s, and I graduated high school in the 70s. But I remember shows like you said, Leave It to Beaver, Dennis the Menace, The Lucy Show. I would sit with my
Yes,
grandpa
but
and watch, what was it, Gunsmoke on Monday nights.
it
And
sort of started in the 70s a little bit, but it
1970
really,
is when it started, because that was
but
when
it,
All in the Family and shows like that started to emerge, was
yeah,
1970.
but
And
the
they
mass,
gobbled up all the old ones like Green Acres, Beverly Hillbillies,
uh,
all the family shows.
yeah, the mass majority of women that left the house as homemakers into the labor force was in 1980.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
started earlier than that, but the mass majority, it started in 1980
Yeah.
because
I
of
agree.
what happened economically. Wages stopped rising in 1978. They stopped rising.
Yeah.
Yes, they went up, but the inflation went up with it. Okay. Now, when you take into account that in order for people to keep up with the American dream, mom left the household and created a second income. But then it was figured out pretty quickly that that wasn't enough. So, in a stunning innovation, there was the invention of the credit card. Instead of people's income going
Oh,
up, they
yeah.
borrowed
Yeah.
to keep up with the American dream. And then a day will come where you don't have enough wealth to service the debt. And that's why 2007 and 2008 happened.
Hold on a sec. Um, can somebody get rid of that bot that just came in here? Can one of you? Because I don't know really how to do it. I think um, let me see who did that earlier. Another bot is in here. I'm going to go ahead and put in chime out. Let's see. Put in chime out. And then what I'll do is I will remove. Thank you, Cinnamon Hot, Hot, Hot. Thank you.
Can you ban
And
them? You got a problem with a bunch of them already. That's
yeah,
weird.
I don't know. Oh, yeah, it's everywhere, and I don't know. Hey, FB, and hey, Jamie's. Welcome, welcome. Thank you both for coming in. Um, yeah, every channel is, oh my gosh, every channel is getting them. And I saw a video last night about them, that they're everywhere. And
Well, Darren
so,
Dobson doesn't get any. Believe it or not, Darren Dobson
yeah,
don't get any. It's
wow,
weird.
wow. Well, eventually, maybe YouTube has like a filtering system or something. I am not sure. Well, a lot of them do. Remember what they were talking about last night? Subscribers only, and then that way you don't get them. So that I have to do subscribers only so that I don't have that issue. But yes,
Yeah,
I agree. See, what I remember is I was very disappointed in 1970 because one of my favorite shows, which was Petticoat Junction, came on at 9:30 at night, and it was 1969, and they put Mary Tyler Moore show on in place, which was fine. Mary Tyler Moore show was a pretty good show. But then came 1969 or 1970, and I can't remember. That was when All in the Family started like a whole new kind of comedy. And it
yeah,
really wasn't comedy, in my opinion. It was social statements. And
yeah. See,
everything changed then. And then as we merged into the 70s, we had shows that were pretty risque coming out that would have never, ever come out in the 60s.
yeah. A lot
And
of the younger ones don't know that. Like seeing the movie Wizard of Oz
oh,
and
yeah,
something like that. That was a big deal back in the day because you were lucky to get to see that once a year on
once a
TV
year.
because
Yeah,
you were
they didn't
lucky
have
to
a
have three or four
DVR.
stations. Cable TV didn't exist, and neither did satellite TV. I remember watching the Cubs game in Chicago, happened to put one hand on the TV and one hand with a coat hanger out the window, trying to get the station to come in clear.
Yeah,
You probably
yeah.
remember that,
Cinnamon
Diane.
Hot Pot, thank you so much. Oh, go ahead.
Having a coat hanger in your hand and holding onto the TV, hanging out the window, trying to get a better signal.
Oh, I remember that. We were so poor we used coat hangers for our antennas,
Antenna, yeah,
and we had a car that only rode in reverse. And I've told that story. The car that only drove in reverse. Growing up, I was 5 years old. My brother was 16, and so he would drive the car, and we would go pick up those boxes called commodity boxes. And but we'd have to go in reverse, and I would be have my head out the window looking for the police so we wouldn't get pulled over for going in reverse. So, hold
the,
on one second. You can keep talking, Sean. I'm just gonna
all right,
one second.
yeah,
Hang on,
guys. I
Sean. You're
remember
live.
talking to kids 45 years or younger won't
I don't
remember
know.
this. 45 years and younger will not remember this. I remember,
I'll call you back
well,
when I get off.
I'd say 40, not
Yeah.
45. I'd say 40 years or younger will not remember this. But it's true. And a lot of them don't believe me. I remember going to the corner store, me and a bunch of my friends, being 8 years old, going to the nearest corner store to 7-Eleven, you know, buying Hustler magazine, Playboy magazine, a carton of Marlboro 100s, Red Man chewing tobacco. And the guy goes, "You
Yeah.
boys want some lighters with them cigarettes?" I'm like, "No, I got my daddy's lighters." But the kids don't
Yeah.
believe me. Yeah, that's the way it used to be back then.
Yeah. I
Parents would be
used to
like,
have relatives. I used to have relatives that would write me a note and say, because I was like 5 or 6 years old, and this is growing up. Back then, I could go. They give me the money to go buy them cigarettes, and as long as I had a note, I could buy them cigarettes. That's how that was like in the early '60s.
"Yeah,
And you were safe to walk through your town. I was 5 years old, and I would walk to the store at night. Now, of course, you could never do that now, but that
yeah,
was in the 1960s, early 60s.
yeah." We always fought to go outside. Now, kids, yeah, I got to fight with them to get them to go outside. It's like, I remember my parents saying, "Where the hell are them kids at?" I don't know. Glad they're gone.
Yeah,
Be a
yeah.
couple miles from
It
the house on our bikes.
absolutely, absolutely. It was so very, very different. Like Cinnamon Hot said, Wizard of Oz, and like you said, came on once a year, and if we missed it, we missed each other next year.
Yeah,
Now,
that was a big deal back then.
yeah, we had one channel. We didn't have two, but occasionally we could get a fuzzy second channel if we were really lucky. And that was the station Lost in Space would come on. And so I
Uh
would
huh.
work really hard at trying to get that fuzzy second channel. But yeah, yeah. And Cinnamon Hot says getting the clickers from the furnace to grow crystal for science fair and decorating strange vegetables. You know, hey, Ricky Life, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. Growing up, we did things. Now kids watch things. And I think it's just really something. you know, the virtual world is taken over. And I think it's sad. I think it's a really sad statement. And like Goldie Hawn was talking
Yeah.
the other day, because she talks a lot about mental illness. And she said that kids today are so ingrained and addicted to the virtual reality world that, they have no time limit on it, essentially. And
Yeah.
it's terrible. It's terrible.
I my kids found a lot of my school annuals that came out every year. Pictures of everybody, of each class, and you know what I'm talking about. I think they
Yes,
still do
yes.
that, but they found one when I was a kid, and they looked at some of my teachers, and they look like they're crazy. And I explained to them why they looked that way. I said, see, not in my kids' school, they're in a good school, but for the majority of the schools, they have a drug problem. I said, back in the day, we didn't have a drug problem because, you got a Xerox machine. Back when I was a kid, our teachers had to use a purple ink memograph machine.
Yeah.
And, where they turned that crank and pumped out what they call dittos, that purple ink, and it would
Yes.
smell, and people would sniff the paper. Yeah, the
Yeah.
teachers were screwed up because they were smelling that purple ink memograph ink. Yeah, and it
Yeah.
make you high as a kite. That's
Well,
why
I
they look like
remember
a mad scientist.
those days were so different, and kids were respectful to the teachers, whether they liked the teachers or not. You just hope that you got a good teacher and not one that you didn't like. But I mean, times are so different and unbelievable. And my grandma, we sat on the porch swing. We had conversation. There was no we everybody had one phone. It was a rotary phone, and there
Hmm.
was no free long distance. I mean, long distance was so expensive, and long distance could be 10 miles up the road. So
Oh
you
yeah.
didn't spend a lot of time on the telephone, and you talked. And I think people today also miss having quiet moments in their life. When we had the ice storm and everything, we had no, there was no social media for me, there was no nothing. I remember sitting up in bed that night, under my electric blanket, because we had a generator. And I sat up there and I just I read, I just thought, I wrote down notes for 3 hours. Now, how many people can stay away from virtual media or social media for 3 hours? But
Hey,
I had no choice. And it was
yeah.
wonderful. My grandma used to sit by the window at night and she'd read her Bible and rock in her chair till 4 a.m. when grandpa got up. And then she went to bed because they had a fire stove and she didn't want to leave it unattended during the night. So she would just sit there in her rocker chair until grandpa got up.
Hey,
So,
Diane.
yes.
I bet you're going to laugh after I give you a walk down memory lane before I go in this. I got to go in this truck stop, take a leak. But
Oh,
here's what you heard when you made a phone call. You have a collect phone call from Diane. It was your voice.
yeah,
Do you
yeah.
accept the charges? And if you didn't want to talk to that person, you'd go, no.
Yeah,
And they would hang up. You know,
right. Well, you know
that's what it
how
was
we
like.
used to do it, the way, because it was more expensive if you accepted the collect phone call. So
Oh,
what
yeah.
what you did is someone would call you, call collect, and then you'd say, no, I can't accept it. They're not here right now. And then you would call them back. So it would be like half the price. Do you remember that part of it?
Oh, yeah. I'll be right back, Diane. I got to go in here
Okay.
and just use the restroom and
Okay.
get a coffee. All right.
Okay. Okay. And so yeah, yeah, yeah. Long distance bills. Oh my gosh. Cinnamon hot, hot, hot. It wasn't until the nine no 2000s because we came back from Europe, I think around 2000 1999, and I didn't have a cell phone when I got back. I had a cell phone in Europe, but that only came in like 1998. Before that, we didn't have cell phones. My first cell phone was in 1993, and it was $25 a month for local phone calls, and it was a big one, and you had to carry it around in your car. Welcome, thank you. And you had to carry it around in your car and plug it into the cigarette lighter. And it was $25 a month for 30 minutes of time, and it could not be a long distance. And it didn't matter if they called you or you called them. Then it wasn't until the early 2000s that we all got unlimited long distance. because I remember I would call my mom, and if I called her during the day, it was 50 cents a minute just across country. And so we wouldn't, we weren't able to talk every day. When I moved to Europe, it was like $2.50 a minute. And we ended up getting a callback service that it was like a computerized thing. And so it was like 30, 40 cents a minute, 50 cents a minute. And we were so happy because I could talk to my mom. Hey, Garcia Lords, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you. And so, yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I remember those days, and like Sean was saying, times have really changed so much, and younger generations don't realize that freedom is not free, and there's sacrifices to be made and anything that you want in life or to keep what you want, and so sometimes there's no middle ground. I just did a video called sometimes there's no middle ground. Sometimes you can negotiate on things in life, and other times you can't. I had a job offer one time, and yeah, I remember those. You got so many minutes, and that was it. And then it would go out on you. Absolutely. But I remember, um, you know, just I think that people take so much for granted that they have today. And I'm afraid that a lot of people are going to get a wake up call if they're not careful, because once you start taking things for granted, you lose them, no matter what it is. But this job that I had applied for, they offered me a very low amount, and I wasn't willing to negotiate. I said, no, I'm sorry, but there's no middle ground here. They said, well, what will you take? I said, no, there's no negotiation. This is what I want. And I got it. I got it. I was unwilling to negotiate. Now, there's a time to negotiate when it works to everyone's benefit, but that would not have worked to my benefit. So there was no middle ground there. And I was unwilling to settle for any middle ground. So I did a video on that. I haven't put it up yet, but I did a video on that. And so, yeah, there's so much that people take for granted. And the younger generation has not, I had, my son drives, I gave him my car. It's a convertible, beautiful car. And he was out looking at other cars the other day. Now, he's a really good son and really thankful, very grateful, very helpful, all of that. He's, my kids are very good kids. And yet I told him, I said, when I was your age, I didn't have a beautiful car like that. I had a $450 blue 1972 Mazda that was blue, but had been painted blue, and the red was coming through from underneath it. It had a broken bumper, no air conditioning, no defroster, and the radio didn't work. And it was, I went to nursing school with this little car that was a piece of crap. And I had to, I didn't have a choice, and I think kids today, a lot of them are just given a lot. And I think sometimes without earning it in some way, sometimes what happens is people don't appreciate. I had to earn everything. And I value it so much more. That's why I go out every couple days, I wash and wax my car. And people think that that's crazy, but because I grew up with old cars, I take care of what I do have. Are you back, John?
Yeah, hey Diane, I got to mention, I am glad they're bringing back turntables and records because my,
Oh,
my, my, my daughter loves it. I said, yeah,
yeah.
you got a
I
scratch in
didn't.
that, yeah. You,
I didn't know they were bringing them back.
oh yeah, turntables and records. You can get all the records again. Had to blow all the dust off the ones I had that have been up in the attic for years. I got some old
Wow.
Parliament, like that song
Yeah.
Flashlight.
I don't remember that one, but
Oh, if you
I have a 1950s phonograph. I mean, a record player, and I also have 1922 and 1919 with all the records. The crank, the ones you crank it up. I've done videos with it. I have those, so it's amazing.
Yeah, you had to have heard Parliament. You heard them when you went to the skating ring. They had that song
Oh,
Flashlight,
yeah.
and the beat went. Da, 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 da.
Well,
Class.
what groups do you remember? I remember. Was it what I can't? Let me see. Who was Bread? Remember Bread? Bread was really big when I was in like late high
Oh, yeah,
school.
70s. In the
Yeah,
70s, yes, bread
yeah,
was big. So was Air Supply, Steve Miller, Kiss. It was my oldest sister that got me interested in Kiss, and I was a fan since
yeah,
back in 76 when she she was a part of the old Dick Clark Columbia Record and Tape Club. You
yeah.
remember that?
Oh my
You
gosh,
remember
yes.
that?
Yeah, I do. I do. Oh my gosh.
I love bringing back memories, man. It brings you. It's like a time machine.
Yeah,
But
it
see, I
is.
benefited because I'm the youngest of five, and I went along with my older siblings. They listened to music that, my day was the '80s.
Yes.
Headbanging music.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mine was the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, '70s, big time music. But believe it or not, I listen to the old stuff too. What my parents listened to on 8 track,
Yeah.
like Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons,
Or
Elvis,
how
Chuck
about Lawrence
Berry.
Welk on Saturday night?
Oh yeah,
Or Guy
you got
Lombardo on New Year's Eve.
you got to.
On New Year's Eve, I don't watch anything on TV on New Year's Eve. Do you know that I go to YouTube and I look up Guy Lombardo because it takes me back to my childhood with my mom
Yes,
and my dad watching Guy Lombardo?
yeah. I mean, it's like a lot of that didn't exist, and I share that with my kids. And I said, you can't forget your parents because my daughter is enamored by the music. Like some of the '80s bands that her and her friends are hooked on is like Tears for Fears and the
Yeah.
Thompson Twins from back in the '80s. And they're like,
Oh,
"This is great music." I said, "Oh yeah, there was
oh,
good
I love
music back then."
the Thompson Twins was some of my favorite. Cinnamon Hot Hot says $6 concert tickets and the record clubs. Absolutely, absolutely.
Oh yeah, concert tickets now are a couple $100 for nosebleeds.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, Smart FB. Yeah, I would. I I just grew up at such a different time zone, time period of life, and for me personally, I'm not shocked, but I'm stunned, if that makes sense, at
Hmm.
what's on television. Um, it just is beyond me. So I don't watch television. I do watch a little bit of the news, but not any mainstream news.
Yeah, and
Yeah. Hey, Grandma Ducky, welcome. Oh, thank you
so
so much, Grandma Ducky. Anyone that doesn't have my friend Grandma Ducky needs to connect with Grandma Ducky there. Yeah.
Diane, the last time I performed in a band was 2 years ago at a place called uh, the Oregon District in Dayton, Ohio, and it was called the Boo and Brew.
Yeah.
And I had mentioned to all those young college kids, I'm like, look, you weren't the first ones to rock and roll. The flower children of the '60s are now all in their '70s now.
Yeah.
They had the guts to do something revolutionary by standing butt naked in the field, doing LSD and all kinds of stuff. you know,
Yeah.
they were the first ones. And this old lady that had a cane, she wrapped a towel around it and ignited it and held it up like a torch. I said, there you go, right there.
Wow.
They were the
How
first ones to rock.
how are you doing, Grandma Ducky? Thank you for coming. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Cinnamon Hot Hot, for watching my stream. Thank you. Yeah, what shows, TV shows did you watch? Like in your growing up?
Oh, me, I loved watching the Stooges. The first show that he was my idol growing up was Mork and Mindy. I
Mm,
followed Robin Williams his whole career, and I emulated the man as a kid.
yeah.
Um, he started that last episode of Happy Days is when you saw Mork from Ork, and it was a spinoff from the Happy Days because he showed up the last episode when there was a knock at the door at the Cunningham house, and Fonzie answered it, and there was Robin Williams.
Wow. Unbelievable. Now, see, my shows, like I said, I mean, I was grew up with Petticoat Junction, Beverly Hillbillies, those kinds of shows, and hold on a second. Keep talking, Sean. I'm just gonna.
Oh, okay.
Hey, honey, I'm on a live stream.
Yeah, you guys, man, I love doing this nostalgic thing. It brings back memories, and
When
you
I
can
get
sit
off.
back and laugh at it today.
Okay.
But like I said,
Love you,
The
Papa.
flower children of the 60s that went to Woodstock are all in their 70s now. They
Yeah.
rocked before all of us did.
Yep.
They
Yep.
were the originals.
Yep. 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 I used to write love letters to Bobby Sherman. I think I was like 12 years old and I was in love with him. He was on what was the TV show? Here Comes the Brides. And I think every girl wrote love letters to Bobby Sherman, and I
Yeah,
received many.
I
And
really,
yeah,
I really would have loved to seen Jimi Hendrix.
yeah. Or how about
The
Janis Joplin?
Well, her too, but mostly Jimi Hendrix. Like,
Yeah,
I went to go see Michael Winslow. He's a comedian, but he
yeah.
also does a lot of voices and sound effects. He's amazing. He put a wig on and a headband, and he actually did Hendrix with his mouth, a guitar,
Wow.
and it
Wow.
was so awesome. I looked at everybody like, "You feel like that Hendrix is really up there?" And everybody was like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
And he did it with his mouth.
Hey, Passion for Art. Welcome, welcome, my friend. Thank you for being here. Passion for Art, are you coming on live stream today? Because if you are, I want to make sure to share you out and let everybody know. Okay. Yeah, so many great singers. And there was just a great time period. And then everything kind of started to change in the 70s. And like you said, around 1980, everything started to change. And then the 1990s was kind of an odd period of time. There was still some really good music in the 1990s, like what was it, Hootie and the Blowfish and
Uh
Matchbox.
huh.
What was it, Matchbox
Yeah.
20 and all of
But
those.
a lot of your kids growing up in the '90s, most of them didn't have mom at home, raising the kids and having that nourishment which children need.
Yeah.
That's
They
why
need a
my
parent, even
ex-wife
if it's a
is
grandparent.
yeah, my ex-wife is a doctor, but she cut her hours back to where she's home for the kids, but she doesn't work all that much. But once the kids are much grown up, she's going to go back to work full time. But my ex-wife's a doctor.
Yes, yes, yes. Wow.
She's a good
It's
mom, but we just we
parted ways.
couldn't. Yeah, we just couldn't get along per se.
Well, this is the thing. I think that even if it's a grandpa or a grandma, as long as there's a stable person at home that can, kids today need someone to role model that they can go to. And I often tell my kids in their early 20s, I tell them, you can learn the right way, which is mom's way, or you can learn
Uh-huh.
the hard way.
Yeah,
And
but
learn the
Diane,
hard way.
all seniors have earned their retirement.
Yep.
They retired from their job, they raised their kids. They shouldn't have to do anything. They've
Yep.
earned what they got. Unless
Yep.
you want to, now that's different. But
Yep.
like I said, there shouldn't be any seniors working unless they want to, not because they
Yep.
have to.
Yeah. Yeah. I go to college. I'm taking time out right now for 5 months, but I graduated college again in December, and I was supposed to start in January, and I'm not really going. I'm not going for any career. I just am kind of like an eternal college student. And hey, Vlad, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you. And so but I love going to college. I love being productive, but you don't have to go to work to be productive. And
Hmm.
you don't have to go to college to be productive. You can learn in many different ways, and you can be productive in many different ways. But I think
Yeah,
it's important over when we get older to stay active. It's
yeah.
something that we love. It doesn't matter what it
And,
is.
oh,
But like
and
I said, I'm going to
Diane,
become a truck driver now. At age
yeah.
65, maybe I'll become a truck driver.
But Diane, look, things have changed. Like back when you went to a concert back in the like '70s and '80s, girls they normally take their bra off and chuck it up on stage, right?
Right.
That still happened, a couple years ago when I was doing the thing at the Boone Brew. But what is popular now, and I had a hard time playing because I was laughing so hard. My lead guitarist was playing the solo part of the song from it's a song called Fire Woman by The Cult. He was playing the guitar solo part of it, and there was this woman that came up in front of the stage, and instead of them showing their chest area, she pulled her teeth out. I've
Oh
never
my
seen that
God.
before, and I
Oh
died
my God.
laughing. Now it's happened more
Oh my
commonly
God.
now women are taking their top plate out, holding it up, and I'm like, damn.
Now they take their teeth out. Yeah, I guess, maybe like if grandma goes to the concert, she could take her teeth out or something. I don't know. Hey, Costa, Kalita, expats, welcome, welcome. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Yeah, I like to look back. I mean, I live in the present moment. I embrace all the good, but it's just a very different world. And I think that people often think wisdom. Book smarts is not wisdom. Wisdom comes over time through life experiences, whether it's our own life experiences or watching other people. And wisdom also comes, we can learn wisdom the fast way through other people. But often people think, well, I went to college or I went to high school or I did this, I'm wise. But, we're always learning. And a wise person knows there's always more to learn.
Well, reading is very important, which Americans hardly do anymore.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
there's reading and then there's real reading. Reading something on the internet is not really reading.
right,
I mean, 50 Shades of Gray is to literature what candy corn is for vegetables.
right, right. I love to read a book. I'm not into the Kindles and all that. I have one, but I'm not into it. I like to read a book. Cinnamon hot, hot, hot says only brush the teeth and floss the teeth you want to keep. And
Well, they
yeah,
got implants. I'm going to be getting those soon.
yeah, I've heard they can be really, really good. That's what I've heard. A lot of people. I
Oh
remember
yeah.
this one woman I met down in Texas. She didn't have any teeth. She was a very pretty woman. She was an older woman, and one day she came with teeth, and I said to her, I said, "Oh, you look beautiful." And she said, "Yes, I had implants." And she went and had teeth implants, and they looked amazing, and she loved them. It made all the difference in her life.
Well, it's getting a lot cheaper to get those now. It used to be extremely expensive.
I think they used to be like 5,000 a piece.
Well, I heard more than that.
Could be, could be. Yeah, yeah. Mm. And so, yeah, life has changed. But I think, what I do is I try to embrace all the good in the present moment. And, and I cherish my past. And I'm so glad that I grew up in the time period that I did. Hey, Ron, welcome, welcome. Thank you for coming. Thank you. I'm so glad that I grew up when I did. And I'm so glad that I had the life that I did. I was talking to a friend of mine, and she's almost 90 now. This is a different friend than I usually talk about. I have a 91-year-old friend that drives her own car, mows her own grass, all of that. And she's one of my inspirations and one of the people I go to for wisdom. But this other friend, she's almost 90, and she and I lived at the same time in Palm Springs together. And we were both laughing about our Palm Springs days. And she said, "Aren't you glad that we had that time in our life? Because things are changing so much." And I said, "Yeah, it was a very different time period, and I'm so
Yeah,
glad
she,
I had it."
yeah, she got to see FDR,
Yeah,
one of our greatest
yeah,
presidents.
yeah. I remember I was in first grade, and we were standing in the bus line to go home. It was like 2:30 in the afternoon, and the nurse came out and said to the teacher, she was crying. She said, President Kennedy had been assassinated. And I remember that I was 5 years old or 6 years old getting onto the bus. So that was in 1963, I think.
And they sent you home when you got there, didn't they?
Yeah, yeah. Well, they sent us all home. Yeah. But it was like by the time we found out it was time to go home anyhow. And then I remember the next 3 days, it was, everything was on the news. Everything else was stopped on the news, but we only got one channel. So, but yeah, I remember that. And I remember when Elvis Presley died. I was in nursing
Yep.
school.
I
I
was
was,
6 years old. I remember that too.
oh my gosh. I remember, um, I told a story called Going to Nursing School. And I would ride with this manly woman and this guy that had OCD. We were all students. And the guy that had OCD would throw up all the time in the car because he couldn't stand being in a car. And we all had to ride like an hour to nursing school together. And so she would come pick me up in this big, I called it the man mobile. It was like a big 1965 Buick or Chrysler, those great big cars. I loved her. She was wonderful. And away we would go, but I remember listening on the radio while she was driving about that's what happened.
Yeah,
That's, yeah.
year before Elvis died was our bicentennial. Great year,
Yeah.
1976. I remember it. My dad was sold his truck and became a Teamster trucker for
Yes.
Murphy Motor Freight at the time. And he came home, and they only made 76 of these. He had a
Wow.
Ford Econoline van. It was called the Spirit of Chicago van, made by Ford, and it had the skyline of Chicago airbrushed on the side. Oh, it was gorgeous. They only made 76 of them, and he got one of them.
Wow. 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 How cool is that? But I do remember, hey, Matthew, and back, Coco, welcome, welcome. I remember, those big old cars. And, I love to this day the 65 Eldorado. Remember, they were huge. They were just huge. I
Oh,
love
they
them.
built cars like tanks back in the day. I'll tell you what, I'd rather be in a car like that than a car today. We'd rip through them like tinfoil.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to hit an older model car. They were built like tanks back in the
They were
day.
like a tank, and they didn't have seat belts. They didn't have anything
Nope.
in them. But oh my gosh, they were wonderful.
Hey
I
Diane, I
go ahead.
remember riding with my dad in the Ford F-150 we had. It
Yep.
didn't have seat belts, and if you dropped a quarter in the seat and you go digging around for it while your dad's driving, I pulled out the seat belt and I'm like, I found a quarter, Dad, but something's in the way. And I pulled it up, and he looked at it and he goes, "Pack that shit back down in there. That's liable to swing around and kill somebody."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was just really cool, really cool. Let me ask you, what got you into wanting to become a truck driver? What was the turning point or the catalyst that got you into it?
Well, I had at the time I had a business degree and a degree in broadcasting, and I really wasn't finding gainful employment in those fields. I was a replacement public address announcer for many minor league sports, for baseball and hockey and all that. But I did have a normal job. I worked in retail, wasn't getting anywhere, and I'm like, look, I know I can do better than this with the education I have. And I looked at trucking, even though my dad did not want me or my brother to become truckers. But you find out you can have a fancy title name and a fancy, nice, sexy sounding job. But when you look at what people gets paid, you go to where people get paid. Well, truckers make good money.
Yeah, yeah, they do. They make fabulous money. Now, you know what? I think if I were going to drive a truck, I'd want one that had the whole, the microwave in it, and the bathroom in it, and the sleeping arrangements in it. Kind of like
Yeah,
a, do
people
do they
that get
provide
those.
do they provide that? Like I know you own your own truck, but
Yes.
when you work, oh, thank you, Matthew, thank you. Um,
Oh,
so
those
how does that work?
those are king sleepers. Okay. Now there's Department of Transportation and a weight factor. Now, when you can get a truck like that, but it limits you of what you can haul, freight wise. Okay.
Okay,
With a truck like that, you can't haul anything in the trailer that weighs more than 28,000 pounds, or you'll be overweight, over axle, which is bad. You don't want that because if you get caught, that's a $400 or $500 ticket. And plus, you're going to sit until somebody comes and gets it that could legally take that.
right.
Because those king sleepers, they're heavier. A lot of people that have those, they have dedicated runs for like Lockheed Martin or Boeing. They put like a couple of
Right.
jet engines in there, which is under 28,000 pounds.
Yes.
Usually,
Yes.
someone that gets a dedicated run like that, they'll go ahead and get the truck that has the shower, the toilet, the little mini kitchen, and a king size bed. It's like a
Yes.
camper, yes. What I have does not have a shower and toilet. It does have a bed, two of them actually, and it has cabinets where I can put my clothes and stuff in. But if I need to take a shower or use the bathroom, I go on the truck stops for that, whether it be
Now, do you
Love's,
still have a
Y and
C?
J.
Do you still have a CB?
Currently, no. The other one got fried. I got to get a new one.
So is it important now? Because back in the day, we didn't have cell phones. And when we used to drive back and forth across country, we had CBs. And, my mom had a
Hmm.
CB in her car because she would go back and forth across country because I was living in California. And we didn't have cell phones. And so do truckers still use CBs?
Um, Very rarely will you run into somebody using it, with the exception of if we come to like a stop where traffic is backed up at a stop. A lot of drivers will turn their CB radio on and say, "Okay, what's going on up ahead? What lane do we need to be in?" Or during inclement weather, because of all the pileups that have happened, a lot of drivers have the CB mostly for the wintertime weather driving
Yes, yes,
because they have it on in case something up ahead has happened to get people to stop before they get to that point. And that's
yes.
why we had that pile up in Wyoming, which I almost was a part of that. But state police lowered the boom to block the highway off, and I got off at the exit, went into the truck stop, and found out that there was 200 trucks along with a bunch of cars crashed up the highway because of the bad weather that was going on.
Oh, okay.
You
Okay.
you can find YouTube videos on that here on YouTube.
So it is important probably to have a CB.
Yeah,
But yeah, yeah, because
it's
I
not
remember,
widely used.
yeah. I mean, we didn't, I remember going across country with no CB and no cell phone. I remember driving across country with nothing, and you would think now I mean, almost be fearful, to think about than it is now too.
Yeah, it's sad. It's not widely used. You got the son of a trucker or an old time trucker that still remembers the lingo and all the codes and everything. I don't remember all of them, but I know the majority of them and a lot of the lingo.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I remember, just driving across country. I always love driving. It's very healing. It's very therapeutic. And I always went back and forth with my mom. We drove
Yeah.
back and forth because she always wanted a partner, to drive with. I always told her, I said, Mom, you should be a truck driver because she loved to
Uh-huh.
drive. Some people love it. It's in their blood. They love to
Oh
drive.
yeah. One of the oldest known female truckers. I knew two of them, and women driving a truck was rare. There is one that is still driving. She's in her 70s, and her name is Candy Bass.
Yeah.
The TA in Nashville is named after her. We call that in truck world. We call it the Candy Store.
Wow.
The TA in downtown Nashville is named after Candy Bass. She still drives. She
Wow.
treats all of us like her kids, but she's been
And
driving before I was born, and I'm 51 years old.
so is she the oldest one, the oldest trucker that you know, or who's the oldest, man
No,
or woman?
no, no. The oldest female trucker that I know, because I only knew two females. This one retired before my dad did. Her name was Betty, and she went by the road name Old Bag.
Mm,
She was a Teamster driver for ABF, and she retired. I think it was back in '97, and
yes,
she started driving back in the '60s. She was old then.
yes.
So call me Old Bag.
Wow.
Um, yeah, but now it's exploded. There are lots of women driving now, and back in the day, in my dad's day, you replied to a driver calling him good buddy. That stopped in the late '80s. They didn't say that anymore. They call him driver.
Yes.
Instead of driver, they say driver
Uh-huh.
because good buddy means that you know you prefer the gay community, or you're
Right,
that way.
right,
And a lot of drivers are not, but there are some that are. So
right.
they stopped using that term anymore. And but every now and then, if I had a lovely lady sitting in my passenger seat, they would drive by, get on the radio, and they'd say, "Hey, driver, nice seat cover, son."
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. I remember the truck drivers were always so helpful to us going across country. It was something. Cinnamon Hot Hot says, I just moved from coastal Virginia. I thought I was avoiding, but by the time the movers of the house and the other company for car transports, yeah, yeah, we can lose a lot of stuff when we move. Yeah, very
I
difficult.
rarely see them anymore as motorcycle cops.
Yes.
We would call those
Yeah.
evil Knievels. Evil
Yeah.
Knievel.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember. I remember. Yeah. Yeah. No, I see. I go so far back that I remember the police cars had the little round thing like on the Andy Griffith show on the top of the car, and I think it was just red. It
Yeah,
just
we
went.
called it. Yeah, we called it the bubblegum machines.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I remember. That's what I remember. Yeah, times have really changed and life has changed, and we have to adapt to it, but that doesn't necessarily mean we accept it. There's a lot of things that we adapt to that we don't accept. Like there's things that I don't accept, but I adapt to it, at least for the meantime. We have to know what to adapt to and what not to adapt to, what we can change
Uh,
and what we can't change. Some
yeah,
things,
they made
yeah,
the last movie they made about truckers per se is the horror movie Joyride, and it came in 3 parts.
yes.
That kind of ruined us there a little bit. It
Yeah.
was all filmed in Wyoming.
Beck Hook asks Sean Moore, how long do you drive in a day?
No more than 11 hours. I average about maybe like 9, 10 hours a day.
So 9 or 10 hours a day. So
Yeah.
that's not really a lot.
No.
I mean, compared to how it used to be, because back in the day they drive 16, 18 hours.
Yeah, and a lot of them used to be hocked up on speed and everything like that.
Yeah. So now there's a limit to how long you can drive.
Yes. We're very heavily regulated because of what happened in the past.
Right.
You know, when we pull into a scale house, back in the day they called them the chicken coop. Um, we're susceptible to doing a urinalysis all the time.
Yes.
That's why we can't do drugs. We can't drink. We can, but after you take that last drink, you got to wait 24 hours.
Yes, because it'll be in your blood, it'll be in your urine. Right.
Yeah, yeah. They don't play games. You get caught with anything like that, they're gonna pull your CDL and you're gonna lose your business. You're gonna lose everything. It's not
Right.
worth the risk.
Right, right. Now you bought your truck rather than use because you can use someone else's truck like a company's truck, right? You can
Yeah,
put,
but I drive my own
but you've got your own. Why would you buy your own if you could use a company's truck?
because I make a lot more money than a company driver. See, I get paid by the load. They get paid by the mile.
Got it. So you get paid by the load, so you make more money when you have your own truck.
Oh yeah, but you incur more costs, no doubt. But it's
Yes.
still a lot more money than a company driver will make. Company
Yeah.
drivers, on average, today get 50 to 60 cents a mile, which is awful because back in the day, my dad was getting $1.28 a mile. And this was back in the 90s.
Yeah.
But being an owner operator is the way to go because you get paid by the load.
Yeah.
And if you do the math by mile, it varies between, I get no less than $1.50 a mile, but I average $2.50 to $4 a mile.
Yes. John Boon Boon, welcome, welcome. Thank you for coming. Thank you. John's enjoying your journey, Sean, on the road straight ahead. He's enjoying watching you. Sean is in Missouri, John. He's in Missouri, traveling through Missouri on his way to New York.
I'm going through a town called Hannibal, and we call it Hannibal Lecter because they got a lot of red light cameras,
Yeah.
and it didn't work. It didn't work right, and it was giving false readings of drivers going through, and they were ticketing us, $300, $400.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And they're like, "Wait a minute, that light was green." And yes, a lot of us are alert, and we know what we're doing
Yes. Yes.
until they sent somebody out there and witnessed it that it was cracking off pictures while the light was green or changing to yellow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was what it was. It was a money scheme.
Right. 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 And
That's
so,
what we
so you decided to become a truck driver. And how many years have you been a truck driver now?
officially 12 years, but I learned how to drive these when I was 8 years old.
Oh, okay. Okay. And they have air brakes, obviously. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay.
we cannot stop on a dime. It takes a full being loaded like I am. It'll take more about a football field and a half to stop, make this thing come to a stop
Okay.
because we're very heavy.
Okay. So you have to, what I remember when I had the Bounder, when we had the Bounder RV, which was a 40-foot Bounder, it had air brakes, and that was why in Texas at that time I had to get a CGL driver's license, and I didn't know what air brakes were. I didn't understand how they worked, so I was really scared when I drove that big Bounder. When we got the gasoline powered one, I had no problem. But that big Bounder with the air brakes, I just never understood the concept of what air
Yeah,
brakes.
with air brakes, it's a lot safer now because of this. It wasn't until like in the early '90s where they changed it. Back
Yes,
in the day, if you lost air pressure, you didn't have brakes. Now
yes,
they've made it the opposite. If you
yes,
don't have air pressure, your vehicle's not going to move. The brakes will apply.
yes, yes, yes. Well, it sounds, the trucks now, they have the bathrooms in them, they have the beds in them, the microwave. I mean, you're really pretty much like an RV in many ways. I mean, you can, go across country, and it's just amazing, amazing, these trucks and what they do. And, um, truck drivers are the backbone of our economy. Without truck drivers, we don't move. Nothing moves, nothing comes. Someone was
You'll,
telling me the other day, I heard it on, I don't know where I heard it. Maybe it was on one of the news channels. And they said that Botox comes from Ireland. And if we ever had, where there were no truckers, we all think of all the people that couldn't get their Botox.
well, the way we say it is you would be hungry, naked, and homeless.
Probably,
If
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Absolutely. I know right now during this time period, we can't really talk about it on here, but during this time period, people are so supportive of the truckers, especially right now. I know I am, just extremely supportive of truckers. It's like there's a whole nother level of admiration that is taking place, I think, around the world for truck drivers.
it's not easy as like people think it is. It
Mm-mm.
takes you have to be mentally strong
Yes,
because a lot of people come into the industry, they can't hack it, and they quit.
yes.
Um, we're getting like over 200 students a week at Prime in Springfield, but only 15% of those will actually continue on and make it a career. The rest of them will drop off like flies.
So if someone wants to become a truck driver and they know nothing about it, what do they do? What's their first step?
Well, what you do is you want to go to your local BMV, get a
Yes.
book about the written test, and study the book. Then take your written test and get your permit. It's a CDL permit. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then once you do that, you want to go to primeinc.com, fill out the online application, and you don't need anything. Just a pillow, a couple of blankets, some clothing. That's all you need to bring. They'll give you a bus ticket. You just go. They'll say, okay, you're ready to go. Go to your this bus station in your town. Get on the bus, and it'll take you here. And then they'll put you up in Campus Inn because they own a big motel over there in Springfield, and they own the Oasis next door. They will put you in a motel, and then you will have about a 3 day classes, and then you go on with a trainer, and you'll go out for about a week. You'll be doing most of the driving. You'll go out
Yeah.
about a week, and when you're ready, you could go out for 2 weeks. It just all depends if you're ready or not. Then you take the final exam, which is the driving, the backing, and the pre-trip. You pass that, you get your CDL. You'll go out with another trainer for 50,000 miles. It'll take about maybe a couple of months. And then once you complete that, you get your own truck and you're out on your own.
Wow. 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 So there's a lot to it. I mean, it's not like just a little, you go to the DMV and just get your license type of thing. You have to actually go through, like an internship.
And once you
Sean, you're breaking up.
to get your CDL. But
Yeah.
at Prime, if you stay with Prime, once you get your truck, if you stay with Prime for a year, it won't cost you nothing.
Okay. So what would it cost you if you didn't stay with them?
Depending on how long you stayed.
Oh, okay. Okay. So what would it cost
I,
if
I
you did it on your own?
anywhere between $5,000 to $8,000. Give me a second. I got to plug in my headset. It's dying. Hang on.
Sure, sure. It's so pretty to watch the road. I feel like I'm driving. I feel like I'm driving the truck. So when are you going to get to Ohio, Sean? Oh, he's not back yet, I don't think. So tonight, I'm not sure I'm going to be on. Oh, there's my son again. Excuse me for a second. 1 second. Hey, Marshall, I'm still on live stream. Yeah, I'll call you back in just a little bit. Okay, I'll be out in a little bit. Love you, honey. Bye bye. My son is working right now, so he calls me and just wants to talk. I guess it's slow at work. What is a tachograph, John? I'm not sure. John was wondering if they have a tachograph in the USA. So I don't think he can hear me right now, John.
I'm sorry. I just.
Oh, okay.
I got it now. I can hear you now. What was the question?
John was wondering if you have a tachograph.
A tachograph.
He says TACHOGRAPH. It's in a truck in the USA. I guess he lives in another. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what a tachograph is, but
I'm guessing that's probably what they call a Qualcomm. See, we don't use paper logs anymore like they did back in the day. We use an automated Qualcomm machine. It records our hours. If this thing moves, it records it. It records everything we do.
Yes.
And believe it or not, I don't miss it. I don't miss doing paper logs. I like the Qualcomm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, back in the day, they did paper logs. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I had to sit down at the truck stop, and you had to catch up on your logs because a lot of your seasoned drivers like me, you had 3 logs. You had one that was on the button accurate, and you had a false log. So you could get away with some things. And on the radio, we called them comic books.
Right. Right. Yeah, I remember
our logbook was called the comic book.
Yeah, remember comic books? We grew up with comic books because we didn't have all this TV, and we had to read. You know, I remember all that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I did back in the day. I remember with my dad, we had instead of you got your home state license plate on your truck.
Yes.
In certain states, you had to have a license plate for that. That's why if you look at an older model truck, you see a lot of license plates in the front of it from different states.
Yes.
And you had to carry not along with your logbook, you had to carry along what we called bingo cards. When you went to another state, go in the port of entry, they would take it and they would stamp it with a marker.
Wow.
That's why we called it bingo cards.
Yeah. Now, John says, yes, that's what they have here, around with speed and stops writing on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow. So when are you going to get back to Ohio then? This weekend? Or not this weekend? Probably.
I'll be there tonight for a 10-hour break. And hopefully they can, my son will bring me my T-shirt and my hoodie for their championship that they won. This is 2 years in a row that they've done that.
Wow. Wow.
Like yesterday, you saw me wear that blue hoodie. That was my son's last year's championship hoodie.
Oh, that's so nice. That's so nice. And then, are you going to go back on your way back, or could you?
Well, as soon as I shut down, do a 10-hour break there, I'll start driving in the morning, and I'll be where I need to be and deliver this, the next day.
Yes. Wow.
Syracuse, New York, and then Chester, New York. It's all upstate, not the city. I won't go in the city anymore.
What's the worst snowstorm you've ever been in?
That would have to be the one 6 years ago in Wyoming, where you go to that video and punch in, pile up I-80 in Wyoming. It was from 6 years ago.
Yeah.
I was behind that. I was about 4 miles behind that.
Wow. You were lucky.
Stuck at a stuck at a truck stop for 3 days
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
because it took them that long to clear all the debris and everything.
Mm-mm-mm. Was it an ice storm or a snowstorm?
It was a blizzard.
Mm,
It looked like a war zone when I went through there.
mm, mm-mm-mm. Yeah, I don't like driving in snow and especially not ice. Not ice at all, you know. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I got to hand it to the girl that was on the other side of the highway because they were all stopped over there. She videotaped the whole thing with her cell phone.
Wow.
It was nuts. It really was.
Yeah. Mm. And so that was like the worst of the weather that you had been through. And you said your
Hmm.
favorite state, you said, was Idaho, in the northern part of Idaho. You said that was absolutely beautiful and looked like the very,
Uh-huh. But my favorite place to drive is the high desert of California.
yeah. You mean
It's
like where, what part is that by Joshua Tree?
That's between Needles and Barstow, California.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that. I remember that well. Needles, California. There was a little motel, oh, what was it, like Motel 6 or something like that. I remember we would stop at in Needles, California. It was right on the border of Arizona and California.
Hmm.
Yeah. I took a lot of trips with my mom because I had moved to California when I was 19, but my mom continued to live in her small town, but she would come back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And so she would drive across country. So she liked a partner. So, I would go back and forth and then she'd fly me back, to where, back to California. But
Yeah.
we would drive back and forth across country. And she loved the driving and I have such good memories with her. And we would
Yeah.
drive back and forth between Texas because she lived in Texas too. And so we would drive between Texas and California. And I love that. I love that road because it's so wide open.
Yeah, a
Interstate.
lot. In the early 80s is when that stopped, when you had a lot of teenage girls hiking across the country to go to San Francisco. It
Yeah,
started in the early 60s and it lasted till about the early 80s, and then you hardly ever see that anymore.
yeah, yeah. But I remember I had such great memories. I'll never forget one time we were driving along, and my mom and we would laugh for years after. There was a woman who had her rocking chair tied to the top of her car, and she was going across country with this rock. I guess she was going across country with this rocking chair, and she had no place else to put it because it wouldn't fit inside her car. So she strapped it down to the top of her car. So you see all kinds of things when you're out on the road like that.
Oh, yeah. You see a lot of things you wish you didn't see
Yeah, yeah,
driving a truck, because when you look out your window, you can look down and see everybody inside and all the action going inside the vehicle that is passing you. You
yes,
all, with the exception, you cannot see the heads of the people on the opposite side of the car.
yeah,
That you can't see, but you can see everything going on in there.
yeah. Wow, wow, wow.
And
Well,
believe me, you see a lot.
yeah. Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure of that. Well, Sean, my husband wants me to go adjust the security cameras on our house. We have security cameras all around, and they have to be they're like charged or something, and we can see all of like everything that goes on outside our house and through our phone. And so he said, "Okay, you got to," because he was out golfing, and he said he called earlier when I was on first started, and he said, "You got to go out there and adjust the cameras, I guess, for some reason." So I'm going to go out there and adjust the cameras um, for the house. And so I don't know if I'm going to be on tonight, Sean. I might, but I might not. I know you're going to be home in Ohio, so you're going to be
Hmm.
enjoying your son and
But
enjoying.
yeah, you
Um,
don't have to be there when I do that big live stream.
well,
Just watch the video
when are
afterward.
you doing it? When are you doing it?
It's going to be within the next couple of days. I'm not
Okay,
sure exactly when. The reason why I'm going to do it as a live stream because so I won't have to upload it. But
okay.
everybody can re-watch the video after it already happened. But it's going to be a wealth full of knowledge to help
Well, I
people
want to be
understand.
there. You're not on my Facebook. If you're, if, I have a both a personal page, but I also have a public page. But I actually get my messages through my public page, which is
Uh,
Everyday Words of Wisdom with Dianna Brianne Fairchild. So it's every day. It's Dianna Brianne Fairchild, but it's Everyday Words of Wisdom with Dianna Brianne
uh,
Fairchild. And
uh,
if you can message me the time, because I don't
I
really,
can't.
I if you could do that, or just make a comment and hopefully I'll see it,
Yeah,
because I'd
I
love to
can't.
support. Oh, you can't?
I was banned from Facebook a year and a half ago.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, maybe you can on YouTube. You can let me know when you're going to be on, because I'm pretty much on every day at some point. But sometimes I may skip a day. But I'm not sure if I'll be on tonight or not. I don't think I will be, but there's always a small possibility. But and I probably won't be on tomorrow because there's so many people coming on. I know Passion for Artists coming on, I think tomorrow or today. I know Red is coming on tomorrow. A lot of channels I want to, Matthew, I'm getting ready to go, but absolutely next time or when I come on, Matthew, you're very welcome. And so, but I hope you let me know some which way, even if it's in a comment section. Thank you, Beck Cock. Thank you. I hope you let me know so that I can show up on your live stream if I'm here. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Otherwise I'll watch it. So
Yeah, okay.
I'm not going to be on tomorrow, Matthew, because Super Bowl's on, and not that I watch Super Bowl, but
Everybody will watch it.
yeah, everybody will watch it. And there's a lot of live streaming going to be taking place before Super Bowl, so I'm not going to be out here, so tomorrow I'll take the day off. So if I come on, it would be tonight, but I don't think I will be. But normally I come on at 10 o'clock at night. That's my standard. That's my standard time is anywhere between 9:30 and 10:30, but usually right at 10 if I can. I set that kind of my time, or 9:55, something like that. But do let me know, Sean, and when you're going to do that so that I can come support you and share it out. But even if I don't make it to the live, then now what is your, what is the name of your channel again, Sean?
Sean Trucking with BS.
Let me go look it up here. My computer's slow here. Wait a minute. Sean Truck. Let me see. This is because I have so much open right now. Okay, I hope I don't lose you all because I have a lot open here. If I lose you all, then I'm not coming back on for right now. But I'm going to try to get Sean's. Okay, it's Sean. Let me see here.
I do my channel just to support other people's channels because a lot of people do it because they were put out of a job and some of them are using it to make an income to feed their family. So I support everybody. Come in, drop your link. I just do it for fun.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Now it's Sean SHAWN Trucking.
Trucking with BS.
Trucking with BS. Okay. Let me go make sure. Okay, now I found you here, but now let me go in there. I'm connected to you, but let me re-ring the notification bell. Okay, I did. I re-rang the notification bell. So I was connected, but I just didn't have the notification. Well, you ring the notification bell on and it doesn't necessarily keep, and then you get unsubscribed to people as well. So, but I will be looking for you. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful time with your son. Oh my gosh, what a joy that'll be for him and for you.
Yeah, you have a good day. I'll talk to y'all later. I'll see you probably later on.
Thank you so much for being here. And you're a great conversationalist and people love you. And I thank you so much. Thank you. And then I'll be seeing you the next live streams.
All right. See you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sean. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Well, thank you, Sean. And everyone, I am going to go because I've got things to do. And I think we might go out and get a bite to eat. And got to call my son back too. And I got to adjust the cameras. So thank you, everybody, for being here. May God bless you. And I don't think I'll be on tonight, but always keep an eye out for me at 10 o'clock at night. So, and I hope to talk to you soon again. Thank you all. Bye-bye.